A lot of times people will see our content. They won't comment, they won't like, they won't share. There's no data at all that they're engaging. And then when we talk to them 12 months, 18 months later, they say, oh yeah, I've been following your content and it's so great. And I'm like, I literally had no way of actually knowing that this person was passively following. And it's because a lot of times those decision makers are so busy, they're not commenting, they're not engaging.
What's up, agency owners? Jason Swenk here with another episode of the Smart Agency Masterclass, a podcast where we talk to amazing agency owners. And today's episode, I have an agency owner that went from 0 to 8 million in a couple years. And I think all of us want to know how. And on today's episode, we're going to go over the exact strategy that they used. So let's go ahead and jump into the episode. Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing?
Awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to have you on. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey, my name's David Mausolf. I've been running agency for about 3 or 4 years now. And I run a company called Apex Growth. We focus on primarily large companies like Shopify and Amazon. And we've been just slowly growing this baby over the past few years.
Awesome. Well, I kind of teased the show a little bit. So tell us how did you grow so fast? A lot of people struggle to get to the million. And then, I find a lot of people can get to the million pretty easy or by accident. And then kind of getting to the next level is a little harder. So walk us through what you guys did and kind of the stages you guys went through.
Yeah. Well, it actually started off back when we were at Disney running our company. So we were working 2 full-time jobs, Dave and I, and working 40 hours a week. And then, while we were there, we were getting asked by different people in our network to go help on variety of projects. And so we would kind of go in and help advise in our free time. And, for a lot of agency owners, you kind of start off 2 co-founders, maybe a solo founder. And, in our case, it ended up being that we were working until 9 p.m. or working on Saturdays and Sundays. I like to have a happy wife. So at some point, back in 2020, we kind of made the decision to go focus on this full time. And, ever since then, we've just been focused on scaling the business up. We're up to about 25 people in total right now, $8 million in revenue. And one of the things I found that's really interesting, Jason, is you don't oftentimes realize why things are working well until after the fact. And it's actually taken us a few years to actually figure out why has it been so easy? I say easy, even though it's been a lot of work, relatively speaking. And it comes down to what I like to call relationship-based selling. And it's a different way than most agency owners approach things. Most people approach things what I like to call service-based selling. You're selling Facebook ads, or you're selling SEO, or you're selling conversion rate optimization. Everything we've done is based on developing a relationship with someone and understanding what the real needs are that they are dealing with, and then creating customized solutions based on that. So in some cases, we've helped people actually go hire a CMO. Sometimes we've helped people hire their team. And then we also, by the way, help do Facebook ads and CRO, right? But by taking that approach and not focusing on the sale up front and developing that relationship over time, we've been able to sell to a lot of really large companies because we're not competing on dollar cents. We're not competing on a service that they can just go compare against someone else. And that's been really the key unlock for us. That's, I think, really differentiated us from most of the people out there.
So a lot of people are probably wondering, okay, that's all great, but how are you getting conversations with these bigger clients that can pay the bigger fees to have the chance to have that relationship selling?
Yeah. So something that's important to note is most of these big guys, you're only going to transact maybe once every 3 years, 4 years. And so, you kind of heard the saying about building it before you need it. We started planting a lot of these seeds even before we started the agency. And so we've been continuing to nurture those relationships, right? And not trying to focus on trying to sell them. And it's a very different model to trying to sell to a mid-sized company or trying to sell to a startup or SMB, right? Those are much more transactional oriented. With someone who is working at Shopify or someone that's working at Facebook, right? You need to have that relationship already pre-established, and they need to know you as a person, right? And so the reason why it's been so like, unintentional is we've kind of learned through us just kind of naturally developing those relationships with people, that's kind of been leading to us being successful. And so what I would encourage people to do is if you're trying to kind of make that shift is how do you start to kind of form a relationship with these people or help them out or support them in a way that's not transactional oriented? And how do you nurture that relationship in small ways over time so that when they actually do need your help, you're top of mind for them and you're in the 1 to 2 people that they're actually going to talk to in the first place.
So what worked for you in the past to build these relationships with the bigger brands?
So here's an important thing to keep in mind is a lot of times people focus on brands, but it's not brands that you're selling to, it's people, right? So Jason, you could go be working at Expedia, for example, but 3 years ago, you might be working at some smaller company or somewhere else. And you're going to be moving around from company to company to company. So when we talk about relationship-based selling, we're focusing on you as a person and your career and you moving along that process. So I might be saying, you might come to me, Jason, and say, hey, I'm actually in transition between jobs. Do you know anyone that's hiring? And I'm like, hey, Jason, actually, the team at Shopify is hiring right now. You should go work for them, or the team at Expedia is hiring for right now. You should go work or go apply for this role. Or you might be asking for, hey, do you know any experts in SEO? And I may not be getting any money from that, but I might just try to give you experts or try to give you help to make your life easier, right? And so that's what we tried to do is we've nurtured relationships with people that are earlier in their careers. And as they basically mature into more senior roles, you've already had that relationship and then they're at that larger company. So it's kind of like placing your bets on people that are high risers and nurturing that relationship in a way that you're helping them out and you're not asking for anything in return. And you're kind of taking that long game perspective.
So there's probably a lot of people listening saying, okay, well, like I got to grow my business. So these are the types of clients. Like there's an exercise I always walk everyone through is kind of like, all right, who's your perfect client? What do they look like? What's their biggest problem? What's the solution that you actually help them out with? And you have to make a list, right? In order to kind of go after them. Like I totally get kind of building the relationship and kind of seeding them over time, because as you do a great job, that's going to happen. Yeah. But if you had to say, I want to reach ABC company, this company, this company, this company, how would you build those relationships in order to get your foot in the door there, knowing that some of these people, they've never been building relationships up in the past? So where would you start?
Yeah, I would start off with figuring out who are the people in that industry or at those companies that you want to target in the first place, and focusing content on LinkedIn as a starting point that's targeted to problems that they're dealing with in their industry. And again, I think it's important to think about, we're all aware about awareness, consideration, conversion, right? Conversion is, I'm going to try to sell you my agency. What is the actual content or topics that is relevant to someone, let's say in the streaming industry, and really creating content that's focused at them. And you may have to actually run some ads to go target those specific people, right? But basically just making yourself top of mind with them, and you're kind of creating a passive relationship with them. They haven't met you before, they haven't talked to you before, but they're just seeing your content and they're seeing these things come up. One of the things I found that's really interesting is a lot of times people will see our content, they won't comment, they won't like, they won't share. There's no data at all that they're engaging. And then when we talk to them 12 months, 18 months later, they say, oh yeah, I've been following your content and it's so great. And I'm like, I literally had no way of actually knowing that this person was passively following. And it's because a lot of times those decision makers are so busy, they're not commenting, they're not engaging, right? The people that are actually commenting, engaging are not the people that are actually going to transact with your product in the first place.
Yeah. What type of content are you posting on LinkedIn? Are you doing any other platforms that you're seeing that's working?
we focus almost exclusively on LinkedIn because that's where we find most of our decision makers are. So the other thing that we want to start experimenting more with is doing kind of like a roundtable event of actually inviting people from certain industries that we're targeting that either we've developed a relationship with or that are kind of tangential, and bring them together on like an industry summit. And then the last piece is there's oftentimes like private Slack groups that we're part of with a lot of these senior decision makers. And when we go into those conversations, we're not presenting ourselves as an agency owner, but as, we've worked at Disney, we've worked at Lyft, we've worked at a lot of these companies. And so we can bring in an expert point of view from that lens. And we're not trying to sell anything. We're just trying to help people out with solving their problems. And that kind of also then kind of passively develops a relationship.
I always go back and forth on LinkedIn. And I guess it's kind of like the roller coaster ride of LinkedIn, because I go on LinkedIn and I look at my inbox and I'm like, spam, 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 and it on forever. And like, I'm so afraid to connect with anybody because I know the spam is like this automation BS tool is right behind it. So do you find people are browsing on LinkedIn?
We find a lot of times that people will end up looking at our profile, and then maybe a month or two later, they'll finally reach out to us on our website. And so again, a lot of it's like very passive behavior. We don't spend any time in the inbox. So we don't send like messages to people. A lot of times we won't actually go directly connect with someone. We'll just go target them with ads. And then it's more often they'll reach out to us when they're ready in the first place, right?
And when you post, is it daily? Is it weekly? Are you posting video, audio, text? What are you normally posting, or all of it?
I love that question. So people might have other experiences. So I want to first say that, and the algorithm's always changing. But we've tried doing daily posts. And the thing is, it's really hard. It's hard for an agency owner to go post one piece of content per day and for it to actually be quality and meaningful. Mm-hmm. And so for us, it's more important to focus on quality over quantity. And so if we can get 3 to 4 pieces of content out over a 2-week time frame, that's great, right? If we can do 6, that's fantastic. But we don't need to be posting daily. People don't need to see you every single day in the feed. If they can see me a couple times a month, that's all I need, right? Then I'm top of mind for them and I'm staying top of mind. And when I am top of mind, it's content that's actually relevant. And so the way that I design things is, we focus about 20% of our content on personal stories. And so we actually kind of explain ourselves. And then we spend the rest talking about actual industry content that is not selling our business, but just trying to talk about problems that we're facing or dealing with.
And is this video or written form?
It's all written form.
Okay.
And send up images and cinema graphs as well too. So, but we haven't done as much video. We actually started doing video initially, but we found it was actually more engaging to do kind of written or like image posts.
Oh, awesome. Well, I love it. Well, this has all been amazing. What's the website people can go check out the agency?
You can go to apexgrowth.co.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. And for everyone listening, if you guys want the ultimate guide to building a profitable sales team that doesn't depend on the agency owner, I've created a free masterclass for you where I'm going to reveal kind of pricing strategies, how to train the team, what's the right offering and the right price, everything. Make sure you go to agencymastery360.com/convert and go get that masterclass. And until next time, have a swank day.